Certain stories remain with society because of the universality of the emotional experience. Hearts and minds want to go on a journey, and simply put, there are emotional beats every writer must hit. We recycle these stories, like the Coen brothers did with Homer's Odyssey, because they feel like perfect storytelling. Some writers do it instinctually, others do it meticulously, but everyone is navigating toward the same endgame, a perfect story. It's my enduring belief that every movie adheres to the exact same 29-point story structure, no matter which type of writer pens the tale. O Brother, Where Art Thou is my Exhibit I. A tight focus on the core elements of the protagonist's personality, inner conflict, and situation. The chain gang situation, the need to escape, and the trio's dynamic are all established in short order. Where, why, and how the protagonist exist in their world, with a focus on why they don't quite fit in. Delivered from the hounds in pursuit, the escaped convicts hear of the obstacles of destiny that lie ahead. They get their first taste of the world, of being strangers on the road where even a friendly face isn't necessarily a friendly face. A singular event that's never happened before, and is destined to lead the protagonist away from their status quo. A change of clothes and a full belly. A chance to recharge. An examination of what's different in light of the something new, what's the same in spite of it in relation to the status quo. A hog wallop turns his coat and turns in the escaped convicts, and the trio is on the move again. The discovery that things are less than ideal, or an exploration of how badly things are. Everything seems to be 2 weeks away, and they have but 4 days to get to their treasure before a dam is flooded and buries it forever. And discord enters the camp. A convenient salvation sings on the breeze. The protagonist dedicates their effort to a specified goal, which is smaller in scope than the primary objective that dominates the third act. Desperate for any distance from the chain gang, Delmar gets saved. Everett reminds him that he's still an escaped convict, so salvation has yet to arrive. Then they take a man with the devil's gift to go make some easy money. All the while they are sticking together. A brief checklist of the story elements needed for the second act. Everett's impressive bullshitting skill set, rolling with the punches and knocking it out of the park like they were destined to walk this path. And symbolically, the greater state of Mississippi. The singular event that launches the protagonist into the wild jungle of the second act, also called an oh shit moment. Pappy O'Daniel, the authority in all of Mississippi, crosses paths with our trio of escapees. Oh shit. The protagonist must learn all new rules and expectations distinct to this adventure. Serenaded by Tommy Johnson, the trio discuss their dream for when they get the treasure, plotting the course for their personal journeys while they hoof it across the state. Everett struggles with the desperation and truth of his lie. They have to keep moving. They cannot rest. The protagonist showcases their ability to grow in the areas this adventure requires, typically through external means. They speed along a stretch of their journey in the company of Babyface Nelson, bank robber in action. Characters face legitimate and understandable reasons to deviate from their stated convictions, agendas, or desires. Babyface crashes emotionally, and his departure reminds us that our fun-filled adventure is still destined to be a chore. The Soggy Bottom Boys are proving popular across the state, casting another searchlight for the trio on the run. An escalation of problems that vex the protagonist. We're treated to a gorgeous montage of the slow, arduous race against time, and staying fed, dealing with bad weather, dodging the marauding chain gang, becoming infamous and famous, and then the song of the sirens pulls them in. The protagonist evolves internally by utilizing everything they've gathered and learned. Delmar frets over the state of Pete, revealing his true loyalty to the trio, while Everett condemns the missing friend for endangering the mission, revealing his lack of loyalty. But without Pete's angry skepticism, our boys are vulnerable to tongues of more sterling silver than Everett's. Journey-weary characters reconcile the reality of their ongoing situation with who they were in the first act. Everett finds himself on the wrong end of a con once again, yet jail time still hangs over their heads even as victims. A singular event strikes at the protagonist's core conflict. Pete's squishy death means the treasure scramble has earned a kill count. Delmar faces an early sense of loss, yet a late sense of reality. Characters find a safe harbor that also provides needed answers for both external and internal conflicts. Pete's not dead. He's only being tortured for information. Yay! Everett bracingly pushes Delmar onward, wrangling the man's ill-placed grief to the best of his conscience. This is all a lie, after all, and he knows it. The clarified objective is realized in part or in whole, though it's meaningless without the completion of the primary objective. Everett reunites with his girls, but that means his lie about the treasure is about to unravel. He finally confronts his wife, but her fiancé isn't too keen on this. An existential conflict that wounds the protagonist's sense of self, worldly identity, or their journey. Everett gets his ass kicked, and his ass kicked out of Woolworth. He faces complete failure before Delmar even understands the treasure hunt is over. The return of Pete reignites Everett's sense of mission beyond the hunt, his sense of loyalty. An undeniable win for the protagonist, typically in direct connection to the rebirth. The boys double back and spring Pete from lockup. The trio together again. And in solidarity to his friends, Everett confesses his lie. A grand loss directly connected to the protagonist's newfound inability to quit the journey. If they stop running, they'll be in prison through their 80s, but there's nothing left to run toward. And when they should be running away, they find a reason to run straight into the thick of it: loyalty. A thematic freefall tied directly to the heavy price. The trio rescues Tommy Johnson from the hands of a local clown college. A singular event that robs the protagonist of seemingly any chance of success. Everett faces a mutiny and is forced to use honesty as his last-ditch effort to win back his wife and daughters. The protagonist cannot return to their starting persona and must turn to face the primary objective. As Everett makes his final plea to his wife, Delmar helpfully sings, in metaphor, Everett's character and conflict in Crucible, while the game of political checkers I've been ignoring this whole time begins to set up its pieces for the showdown for Waldrip the Bonafide. The protagonist moves toward the climax while utilizing the major swings and sneaky misdirections of the story. Pete and Delmar belt out the first few notes of their improvised song, and it gives me goosebumps every time. Homer Stokes outs himself as a member of the local clown college and ends his career. Thus Waldrip is unemployed and the B-story wraps itself up. The final confrontation between the protagonist and the antagonistic force. The trio cash in a brand new favor with the only man in the state who can pardon their sentences, who can grant them a future without running. The singular event where the protagonist finally confronts their place in the status quo. Everett wins back his family, and his crew becomes his brethren, pending one final side quest. The direct aftermath of the climax, the cinematic denouement, if you will. The trio discovers that not all of their consequences can be magicked away. They're powerless in a much larger game, and the devil takes his due. The consequences of the climax in relation to other characters and the status quo. Unable to have made it this far without each other, the trio begs for just one more fateful intervention. Oh right, they were flooding this valley for a man-made lake. A tight focus on the protagonist, contrasted from the opening. Absolved of guilt and having faced the consequences, Everett and his crew are finally free and able to start all new lives. And there you have it, my 9th example to support my argument that all movies follow the exact same story structure, regardless of how the writer approaches their craft. Based on a story from thousands of years back, O Brother, Where Art Thou nevertheless showcases the 29-point story structure. But does this buddy comedy road trip flick share the same plot beats as a 7-hour drama about a chess prodigy battling addiction and genius? Yes, it absolutely does. Next on my docket, The Queen's Gambit. Please subscribe to stay up to date with this and future videos, and please like and comment with your thoughts and reactions. I'll talk at you next time.